Hey, it's Jill with the Hip Kit Club, and today I'm using the November collection to create my layout. I'm starting with a white cardstock base that I've trimmed down just a little bit. I have a plan in my head, but I wanted to start first with my photo, which is this fun photo of me and my daughters and some friends. The day after Thanksgiving, we went shopping and we went to this really fun jewelry store and each picked out a fun ring. So I wanted to document it with this kind of fall feeling collection. Now, my title is also something I pre-planned and pulled from the Pocket Life collection. So I simply took one 6x8 page that had the title and this orange plaid, and I mounted them on top of one another to create my title piece. Then I went into all of the pattern papers and the cardstocks and trimmed off the branding strips. Often I do this when I get a new collection so that I have them off of the papers and ready to work with, and so they become an embellishment or an option for me as I start designing. So I know I want this to kind of go at an angle across my page, and I'm going to create a linear effect and mount a lot of those patterns of the branding strips as my pattern paper, but I want to build up a background first so that there's some movement and there's some mixed media happening behind. So I take the fun stencil that's part of the color kit this month, and I'm just using 2 ink colors to kind of mimic the softer tones that are in this collection. So a peachy color and kind of a mulberry color that I'm just lightly adding to the background using the little acorns and leaves and little speckles that are in this stencil. So it's just giving me a nice bit of pattern on the background. So I've done that just at the top and the bottom. So then I'm going into the Lindy's watercolor pigment, and I'm creating just another bit of wash and some splatters using these pigments. They're so fun to use. And I have just these paper palettes that I love to use when I'm doing some mixed media because I can work on them and then just toss that away. So that's what that cute girl's face is on the side of the page. It's just a palette. And so I'm mixing the 2 different colors there so that I can create, again, that same kind of color palette that I've created with the ink and adding this little wash. So I start with just a few little speckles and splatters that are going to add some detail there. And then I go back through and water it down even more so that it kind of glides across my cardstock, and I can create just a nice watercolor wash with that background as well. And I'm just putting that in very random spots to build up some color and to give it just a really fun mixed media feel to that. Going with a little bit of both colors. In this collection, you have Andrea's Azalea Magicals, and you've got Summer Lovin' Magicals and Cape Cod Coral Magicals. So those are the 3 colors that come in your color kit this month, and they're so fun to work with. 2 of them are shimmer and 1 of them is matte, and so you get a little bit of variety in the look there. And so that's kind of the background I've created, and now I can start building on my paper strips and my photos. So everything else on this layout starts to come together in a nice linear effect. And I'm just going through all the different pieces that I've cut off of the branding strips, and I'm trying to decide which ones I want to use. And because I have 2 packs of the pattern paper, I was able to duplicate a couple of those patterns, but I think you could absolutely do this with a fun mix of all different patterns. And I did through the middle, so I grounded it with the orange and the blues, and then in the middle I mixed the patterns so that it was just a little more varied. And this is why I cut my cardstock down. It's 11.5 inches, so that as I put these on at an angle, they would fit the length of the paper that I'm working with, and then I'll mat it onto a full 12 by 12. So my cardstock's 11.5 by 11.5, and then I'm just roughing up the edges of those branding strips with my fingernail to give it a little curl and a little distress as I add them to the page. And then I cut a few strips that are just a little bit shorter as well, just to kind of add another layer and then also break up the straight lines that go all the way across. It just gives it just a little more detail and interest there. Then I took it to my sewing machine and sewed through the entire strip of each of the strips, and then I'm matting it on the buff cardstock that is in this month's cardstock collection. So then I decided it needs one more kind of layer of paper, and I thought it'd be fun to do a scalloped edge and make that a little bit thicker. So the branding strips are about 1/4 of an inch in width. And so this one I want to make a little thicker. I think I went about 3/4 of an inch. And then I'm tucking it underneath the top and the bottom, so that scallop just brings another little pattern. And I loved using this blue iCat paper because while this is all very fall feeling, the blue is a nice bold color that helps to kind of ground everything. And so I'm tucking that in those paper strips, and I attached them just a little bit, but then sewed through them. So I'm trying to just nestle the paper strips at the top and the bottom underneath those blue branding strips. So just tucking them in, and then I start to play with the idea of that scallop kind of overlapping in some places over my photo or my journaling or my title piece. And so just trimming off that extra, and then start to figure out how I want these to lay. So I thought about one under and one over the scallop, but I think that kind of breaks up the line too much. So I decided just to use the bottom scallop as kind of like a little tucked in pocket spot for me to use for the title. And as I start to look at it, I usually love that I get my photos all printed with a white border around them. But for this particular photo, I wanted it to kind of match the mat on my title piece. So I went to the cardstock collection and found the orange color there and went ahead and matted that on my photo. So I trimmed off the white and went with orange this time. And I like how that helps pull that whole strip through the middle together that way. And so I've just tucked those under the scallop, and then I went back to the Pocket Life pages, and I found this cute striped tag. And so I decided I'm going to just put a tag at the top of my photo, not for anything particular as far as journaling, but you absolutely could do that with this piece here. And then on that same page, there's just a fun pattern. And so I went ahead and cut that, and I'm using the first tag as a guide to give me a tag feel to the strip of paper. So looking at those Pocket Life pages as lots of different options. So I created kind of a double layered tag, and then I actually had just a tiny bit of twine left from our September collection, and so I went ahead and pulled that twine in. You could tie it with anything, but that was still just easily accessible from all of last month's fun collection as well. So, and it matched perfectly. So that is from the September collection, and just tying up the top of both of those tags. So now I'm going to look for embellishments to finish off this page. There are so many fun options this month in the collection, and I started with these cardstock stickers, and I decided to use just some of the word strips at the bottom and layered just one of those word strips onto that shorter piece at the bottom of my page. It brings in that blue color again and just gives another layer detail there. But from there, I decided to go to some different embellishments, and I turned to the adorable crocheted hearts that are in this month's embellishment collection. So as you can see, there are 5 different hearts, and they are so fun, and they feel like almost adding a sweater detail to your fall page, which is so perfect, right? And so I decided to go with the more orange heart to pull in some of the orange tones in the page. And they're just fun, layered, textural hearts that are completely crocheted and so fun to use. So I just worked with that, and then grabbed the vellum leaves that are in the main collection this month, in the main kit. And so by pulling out those, I feel like you're getting multiple textures going on. The vellum is such a fun detail because it's soft and subtle, but the colors layer over each other, and it really gives that nice fall feel. This is also giving me a lot of movement and variety on the page where everything else is very linear. And so I like having the leaves and these embellishments tucking out from both the left and the right side of the page. And so I made sure to balance out the colors so that it worked with the colors that are represented in the paper strips, as well as a little bit of the same color on each side where I'm laying in these different leaves. And you can see there's so many fun shapes, so many fun colors, and it really pulled the whole layout together. So once I've decided on all the different pieces, my last detail to finish up this layout is to add my journaling. So From here, I just grabbed my journaling pen and added just a couple of lines angled at the bottom to follow that linear effect that's happening on the page, and added just my few sentiments that I wanted to share about this experience and the photos and the fun time that we had. So I hope you've enjoyed seeing this layout come together. If you have any questions about this month's collection or about how to become a member of HipKit Club, then you'll want to visit hipkitclub.net. Also, be sure to like and subscribe to this YouTube channel so that you don't miss out on any of these fun videos. We are constantly sharing fun and unique ideas using these products here on YouTube. So thanks for joining me today.